There are poisons that blind you, and poisons that open your eyes. August Strindberg. Bitter resentment, low self-worth, perceived slights, and money disagreements can be a noxious combination. People who already walk the line of being unstable can be pushed over the edge by the slightest provocation. Those close to them may not even know anything is wrong until it's too late. Sometimes their actions can seem like a subtle punishment to them, but to anyone thinking clearly, it is so much worse. Erin Scudder was born on September 30th, 1974, into an academically inclined family. The Scudders lived in the middle-class Glen Waverley suburb of Melbourne, Australia, and did well for themselves. Her mother, Heather, was a lecturer at Monash University and an expert in children's literature. She also wrote books and did television interviews. According to Erin, she was strict with both of her daughters' eating habits and weighed them regularly to make sure they hadn't gained too much weight. This led to an unhealthy relationship with food for Erin. Her father, Eitan, had director roles for multiple companies, and her sister, Kainwen, would go on to become a scientist at Monash University. In contrast, Erin was more scattered, jumping from interest to interest. In 1992, Erin was accepted into a science course at the University of Melbourne. She seemed to be following the family path. However, she didn't stick with this and switched to accounting. She would change course a third time, switching to air services. Erin managed to graduate with an air services diploma in 2001 and became an air traffic controller trainee. She was one of 14 controllers and did not fit in with her coworkers. She was abrupt and abrasive, a loner who declined every social invite. Behind her back, her coworkers called her Scudder the Nutter. Erin only stuck with this career path until November 2002. By 2004, she had moved on to become an animal management employee for RSPCA Australia at the Monash City Council headquarters. Through her work with the council, she met Simon Patterson, who was an engineer for the city. Unlike others, he found her smart and witty, and the pair started dating in 2004. In June of the same year, Erin got into a car accident. She was driving an unregistered car at 95 kilometers per hour, roughly 59 miles an hour, in a 60 kilometer per hour, roughly 37 mile per hour zone. She was found to be 3 times over the legal blood alcohol limit and never stopped the vehicle after the accident. Erin pled guilty to 5 charges and was fined $1,000. Her license was revoked, and she wasn't allowed to drive in Victoria for 2.5 years. 2006 was an equally eventful year for Erin. She and Simon married, but her parents did not attend the wedding, as they were supposedly on vacation in Russia. Simon's cousin walked Erin down the aisle instead of her father. In July, Erin's paternal grandmother, Ora, died in Adelaide. She left Erin $2 million Australian dollars to be paid out over 8 years. In 2007, Erin and Simon moved to Western Australia. They lived in Perth, York, and Pemberton. While in Pemberton, Erin ran a second-hand bookshop while Simon worked for the city council. Erin was also pregnant with their first child. The birth of their son was traumatic, and Erin grew closer to her in-laws, Gail and Dawn, after he was born. Before their second child, a girl, was born, the couple relocated to Korumburra, Victoria. Erin wanted to live closer to Gail and Dawn. Here, they attended a Baptist church where the pastor, Ian Wilkinson, was married to Gail's sister, Heather. Though Erin seemed to have a decent relationship with her in-laws and extended family, her relationship with her husband was on a steady decline after the birth of their son. And amid the short-term splits and reconciliations, Erin's father died of cancer in 2011. Things remained rocky until she and Simon came to a financial settlement in 2015 and split long-term. They remained friendly, however. They shared custody of their 2 children and even took family vacations together. In 2019, Erin's mother died of cancer, leaving everything to her and Kainwyn. The sisters sold the beachfront property her parents owned for $900,000. Erin's share allowed her and Simon to give his 3 siblings interest-free loans to buy their homes. Between November 2021 and September 2022, Simon was plagued with stomach problems. In hindsight, it seems strange, and the information was later withheld during the trial. He was hospitalized 3 times for gastrointestinal issues during those months, the second of which resulted in a coma and life-saving surgery. His symptoms were consistent with ingestion of barium carbonate, an ingredient in rat poison. In 2022, Simon listed himself as single on his taxes. This caused a serious rift in the already deteriorating relationship between him and Erin. Erin was now ineligible for all government child support, and Simon was told by federal agencies to stop paying his children's school fees and medical bills. Simon claimed the change was a mistake by his accountant, but the damage was done. Erin's relationship with Simon's family cooled as well. Erin may not have had very good relationships with people she knew in real life, but she kept an online presence as well. She followed an Instagram account for a podcast that discussed Jeffrey Epstein. She also joined a Facebook group for discussion about Kelly Lane, who murdered her baby in 1996. Erin made friends in the Facebook group and vented to them about her frustrations. She complained about child support, Simon, and his family. Many of Erin's derogatory statements about her estranged husband and her in-laws didn't just point to a cooling relationship, but flat-out hatred. It may have been the last straw when Erin received a last-minute invite to Gail's 70th birthday celebration in May 2023. She felt hurt and believed they had forgotten about her. On July 29, 2023, Erin decided to host a lunch as an olive branch of sorts. Under the guise of telling the family about an ovarian cancer diagnosis, she invited Dawn, Gail, Ian, Heather, and Simon to lunch. Simon did not attend, and the children were also out of the house at the time. For lunch, Erin served her guests individual beef wellingtons. Already a fussy high-class dish, Erin added an extra special ingredient to her version. When she made the duxelle layer, a mixture of finely minced mushrooms, onion, herbs, and pepper sautéed in butter, she swapped the usual button or cremini mushrooms for Amanita phalloides, deathcap mushrooms. The following day, all 4 of Erin's guests were hospitalized with suspected gastroenteritis. Erin went to Leongatha Hospital as well, complaining of stomach pain and diarrhea, but she repeatedly refused to be admitted and left the hospital against medical advice. Doctors were concerned for Erin's welfare, as well as that of her children, who ate the leftover Wellingtons for dinner. The pastry and mushrooms had been removed by the time the kids ate the tainted dish, but it was suggested that they be checked by medical professionals for their safety. Even though the concerned healthcare professionals called the police for assistance, Erin was reluctant to have her children examined. On August 4th, 70-year-old Gail Patterson and 66-year-old Heather Wilkinson both died in the hospital. This sparked an investigation from the Victoria Police. The following day, 70-year-old Dawn Patterson also died in the hospital, despite receiving a liver transplant in an attempt to keep him alive. Ian Wilkinson was the only survivor of the group. He remained hospitalized for 7 weeks. On August 14th, police obtained a statement from Erin. She told officers that she purchased the mushrooms from an Asian supermarket 3 months before the lunch. After police recovered a food dehydrator from a skip bin at a waste management transfer station, she admitted to deliberately throwing it away. She claimed it was because people were accusing her of intentionally poisoning the meal. Erin was arrested and charged with the murder of her in-laws. Her arraignment hearing was held at Latrobe Valley Magistrates Court in Morwell on November 3rd. On May 7, 2024, Erin pled not guilty to 3 murder charges and 1 attempted murder charge. She was also charged with the attempted murder of her estranged husband on multiple occasions, but those charges were dropped. Nearly 1 year passed after Erin's plea was entered before her trial began on April 29, 2025. Over the course of 9 weeks, the Supreme Court of Victoria heard arguments, listened to testimony, and saw evidence against Erin Patterson. The Crown stated that trying to prove motive would not be part of their case, instead focusing on Erin's lies and the food dehydrator she threw away. The court was shown photos pulled from Facebook of the food dehydrator and dehydrated mushrooms. They saw CCTV footage of Erin dumping the dehydrator at the transfer station. The discarded appliance had Erin's fingerprints on it, as well as traces of Amanita phalloides mushroom toxins. The same toxins were found in urine samples taken from Erin's male guests. Erin lied at every step of the way. She claimed to have purchased the mushrooms, but had visited Loch and Outram, which were known to have deathcap mushroom habitats. She lied about her cancer diagnosis to lure her relatives to the lunch. She lied about having any symptoms after the lunch. Erin's defense accepted many of the Crown's arguments, but insisted the deaths were all terrible accidents rather than malicious attacks. Simon was called as the first witness. During questioning and cross-examination, he told the court about the rough relationship he had with Erin and how she was disappointed he didn't come to the lunch. He also claimed that Erin never asked about the welfare of his parents after the poisoning. Ian Wilkinson also took the stand. He said that during their visit, Heather and Gail wanted to take a look at Erin's pantry, but she was very reluctant to allow them. Erin also refused to let the sisters help her with the food, and ate her portion off a different colored plate than the others. Dawn and Gail's other children were all called to testify as well. They all confirmed the loans they received from Erin and Simon, confirmed the deteriorating relationship between Erin and their brother, and claimed Erin said she felt dizzy and nauseous following the lunch. One of Simon's sisters claimed Erin did ask about Gail and Dawn at the hospital, contradicting what Simon had said. The Pattersons' children took their turns on the stand. Erin and Simon's daughter told the court her mother complained about having diarrhea after the lunch. She also said she and her brother ate the leftovers for dinner on July 30th, but she was unaware that her mother used mushrooms in her cooking. Their son confirmed various details about the lunch guests and said that his parents had a very negative relationship. They were closer to their mother than their father, and Simon said and did a lot of things to hurt Erin. He also contradicted Erin's claim of having diarrhea in the morning, as she drove him to a flying lesson and hadn't needed the toilet at all. The Crown called Erin's online friends to testify as well. Christine Hunt, Daniela Barkley, and Jenny Hay were part of the Facebook discussion group Erin frequented. The women bonded over their shared interest in Kelly Lane and shared everything from gossip to recipes. Erin asked them for advice on cooking beef Wellington 2 weeks prior to the murders, and she sent them photos of the dehydrator and sliced mushrooms. She also complained to them about Simon and her in-laws. One of the women said that Erin was an atheist, which clashed with Simon's Baptist beliefs, and she alleged he was abusive and coercive. Over the course of the trial, a variety of experts were called to the stand, from medical professionals, digital forensic specialists, and mycologists. Through testimony and cross-examination, the court learned that it was highly improbable that Erin purchased the poisoned mushrooms from any supermarket or Asian grocer, as they only grew wild and could not be commercially cultivated. Erin's phone was found to have been factory reset 4 separate times on March 12th, August 1st, August 5th, and August 6th, 2023. She had searched for photos of deathcap mushrooms in April and May 2023, and the Google photo cache on her tablet had 13 photos of the food dehydrator, mushrooms in the dehydrator tray, and mushrooms on a scale. Her phone also showed that she had previously visited areas with deathcap habitats. When it came for Erin to testify, she also described her tumultuous relationship with Simon, but claimed it had been improving in 2023. She admitted to lying about her cancer diagnosis, saying she had been too embarrassed to tell her in-laws she was planning to undergo gastric bypass surgery in July 2023. As Erin spoke about how the death cap mushrooms ended up in the beef wellingtons, she had a variety of stories. She had been foraging for mushrooms for years, but denied deliberately foraging for the death caps. She said she bought a forest mix from a grocer in Melbourne and dehydrated them for later use. She also claimed to have purchased mushrooms from an Asian grocer, but stored them separately because they were pungent. Though she did not deny the presence of death cap mushrooms in the food she made, she insisted it was an accident. Erin disputed evidence and testimony given by others, including using a different colored plate, that she lied to medical staff and misled the Department of Health. During closing arguments, the Crown reiterated how much Erin had lied, that she deliberately poisoned the food she made for her guests, but ensured neither she nor her children ate the tainted dishes, and that she tried to cover up her actions. Erin's counsel spent 3 days arguing that the deaths were nothing more than a terrible accident. Erin's interest in mushrooms was nothing more than idle curiosity, and she never intended to kill anyone. When arguments finished, the jurors were sequestered to deliberate Erin Patterson's fate. They returned with their verdict on July 7th, and Erin was found guilty of 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Impact statements were heard by Justice Beale on August 25th, and her sentence was handed down on September 8th. Erin was given 3 life sentences plus 25 years imprisonment to be served concurrently. She will be eligible for parole in 2056, though prosecutors thought she would never qualify for parole as she didn't deserve the court's mercy. During her sentencing, Erin showed little emotion and kept her eyes closed for most of the hearing. Justice Beale told her, "Not only did you cut short 3 lives and cause lasting damage to Ian Wilkinson's health, thereby devastating extended Patterson and Wilkinson families, you inflicted untold suffering on your own children, whom you robbed of their beloved grandparents." Erin Patterson is imprisoned at the Dame Phyllis Frost Center in Western Melbourne at the time of writing. Though no motive was ever given or uncovered, it seems clear that Erin was tired of being slighted by her parents, her peers, her husband, and finally, her in-laws. Whether deliberate or accidental, Erin's actions irrevocably changed many lives.